All right, good afternoon. Welcome everybody to the June Planning Commission session. Multiple staff members are here today to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly and all applicants and members of the public are able to participate in the meeting at the appropriate times. If you are here today and would like to speak about a case, please provide your name clearly into the microphone, and please be sure to sign in either at the back of the room or at the podium for documentation purposes. If you are here today to speak about a case, you must speak up when the chairperson calls for public comment.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Causey?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Marshall?
Here.
Ms. Thomas isn't here. Mr. Cohn?
Here.
We have quorum.
I'll give a brief review of the meeting format. Applicants with requests before the Planning Commission are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. The time limit does not include any questions asked by the Planning Commission or staff regarding requests. During the public comment period, members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. After the public comment period, applicants have 5 minutes to respond. The administrator has a timer and will make presenters aware of when their time has expired. The Planning Commission reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis. And then, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes since publication.
All right, we will review the consent agenda. The Planning Commission uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. Examples of such items include approval of site plans, annexations, and street names. If a member of the Planning Commission or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, you must speak up after the consent agenda is read. Then that item is removed from the consent agenda and considered during the meeting. The Planning Commission then approves the remaining consent agenda items. Will staff please read the consent agenda?
First item on the consent agenda is the approval of the May 9th, 2024 minutes. The second case is under future land use amendment and zoning amendment for a pending annexation. Case number 2 is Annex-2024-0011, 0.054 on the west side of Piney Woods Road and 0.057 acre on the west side of Piney Wood Road, also known as 4034 Fernandina Road. Request recommendation on the assignment of the land use classification of Regional Activity Corridor, AC3, and the assignment of zoning of General Commercial District, GC, for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as mixed residential high density and zoned GC by Richland County.
Is there anyone here to speak about the Piney Wood Road properties? Any Planning Commission members? Continue, please.
The next case is number 3, Annex-2024-0012, 3029 Farrow Road, and a portion next to Kent Street. Request recommendation on the assignment of the land use classification of Urban Core Residential Small Lot, UCR1, and the assignment of zoning of Community Activity Center Corridor District, CAC, for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as mixed residential high density and zoned GC by Richland County.
Is there anyone here to speak about the Farrow and Kent Road properties? Continue, please.
Next, we have a street name. This is SN-2024-0003, street name request. Name streets within a 25.35 acres, Trinity Drive, 1458 and 1482 Caroline Road, and within the Trinity Road Townhome Development, Spirit Drive, Sitta Lane, and Genesis Drive. The properties are zoned OI, Office and Institutional District.
Is there anyone here to speak about the street name request? We can continue.
Next, we have S-Plan 2024-0007. The southwest corner of Lorick Avenue and West Avenue requests site plan approval for the construction of a 6-building, 144-unit multifamily apartment development, The Lofts at Lorick Park. The property is zoned RM1, Residential Mixed District.
Is there anyone here to speak about the Lofts at Lorick Place? We can continue.
Next case is under major subdivision preliminary plat review. This is S-Plat 2024-0011, plus or minus 2.11 acres within the block bounded by Kaufman Road, Hallbrook Drive, Nelson's Ferry Court, and Monmouth Court. Request preliminary plat approval for the construction of an 18-lot townhome subdivision, Colonial Commons Phase 4. The property is zoned RM2 Residential Mixed District.
Is there anyone here to speak about the Colonial Commons? All right. Keep going.
The next case is S-Plat 2024-0043, plus or minus 2.22 acres, block bounded by Deer Park Drive, Jacobs Mill Pond Road, and Wood Creek Road. Request preliminary plat approval for the construction of an 18-lot townhome subdivision, the Deer Park Townhomes. The property is currently zoned PD in the Wood Creek Farms Plan Development.
Is there anyone here to speak about Deer Park Townhomes? All right.
And next, we have S-Plat 2024-0018, plus or minus 59 acres on the 400 block of Eclipse Lane and the 2100 block of County Line Trail. Request preliminary plat approval for the construction of a 220-lot, single-family residential subdivision, Ellington Phase 3. The property is currently zoned PD in the Wood Creek Farms Plan Development.
Is there anyone here to speak about Ellington Phase 3? All right. Is there anyone on the Planning Commission or one more pass for the public that would like to speak on any of these items? All right. Seeing none, I will take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. We approve May 9th, 2024 minutes, as well as the consent agenda for today, June 13th.
Got a motion? Get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we'll move to the regular agenda. We use the following outline for the regular agenda. The administrator will introduce the case. The applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. The Planning Commission may ask questions. The public comment period will be open to those present. The public comment period will be closed. The applicant will have 5 minutes to respond to the public comments. The Planning Commission may ask additional questions of the applicant, and then we'll proceed with deliberation and action by the Planning Commission.
So the first case on the regular agenda is a zoning map amendment. This is ZMA-2024-0005 at 650 South Edisto Avenue. Request recommendation to rezone the property from Employment Campus District in the Airport Safety Overlay District to Residential Mixed District, RM2, in the Airport Safety Overlay District. You can see the property there on the corner of Superior and South Edisto. So basically, I'll just read the staff recommendation if there's any questions. Staff finds that the proposed zoning is consistent with the future land use classifications in the Columbia Compass Comprehensive Plan. The area includes a mix of industrial, EC zoning, and residential RM2 zoning, and current adjacent uses are industrial. While the EC district allows residential townhomes, the Airport Safety Overlay does not allow residential uses outside of a residential-based zoning district. Since the EC district is considered an industrial-based zoning district, in order to develop the parcel residentially, rezoning to a residential-based zoning district is necessary. The requested district is considered less intense than the current industrial zoning, and staff finds that a recommendation to approve is appropriate.
Thank you. Do any commission members have any questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Would you like to speak to it, or? Okay. I have one question. Do you, just so I understand this correctly, I think we've had this before us before. Residential structures are allowed in this zoning, but in the airport overlay,
They're not.
they're not.
If
As
they're-
long as the
unless-
zoning is residential.
Yeah, if it's not a residential zoning district, then the residential structures aren't allowed, but if it's, they are allowed if it's in a residential-based zoning district.
Okay,
A little confusing because of the overlay, the airport overlay.
okay. Would a site plan come back before us?
Probably not, yeah, wouldn't meet the threshold.
Okay. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak for or against this? Okay. Any commission members? Any other questions?
Just for clarification to the staff, so does this mean that if this is approved, have we gotten consensus from the Airport Safety Committee concerning the rezoning of this property?
I believe they've given notification. There's a letter that's typically sent. I don't know if we've gotten a response. No?
Would you mind coming up?
You have to come to the microphone.
Thank you.
I'll ask it.
So we have made the.
Would you mind telling us your name?
Sorry, my
Yeah,
name
no
is
problem.
Peyton Bryan, and I'm the applicant for the case.
Thank you.
So we have made the FAA and several other governmental agencies regarding this airport aware of this. In order for us to construct this project at the height which we'd like to do within the zoning parameters, we're going to have to do several different things regarding the deed with the property, acknowledging that it is in the airport and the potential dangers that exist thereof. And for anyone that isn't living here, the same will be given to them, and they will be made aware and have to acknowledge such.
And so, can I put it in my own words and see if you will nod your head and say yes? So then I'm hearing that you're willing to agree to whatever the Airport Safety Committee comes back with as recommendations?
Yes, ma'am. I have
Okay,
no
thank you.
choice but to do that.
Thank you.
Do I leave now?
Any further questions?
Okay.
Thank you. You can come up, please.
Mr. Bryant, how many units are going to be there?
As of right now, 13,
13? Are they going to be two-story or one-story?
two-story,
Roughly how big are they going to be?
1,500-ish square feet.
Okay. Thank you.
And if everybody who speaks could please sign in either at the podium or at the back of the room, we would appreciate it.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to comment? Any other questions from the commissioners? I will consider a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve ZMA 2024-005, 650 South Ediso Avenue.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you, we'll move to the next case.
Sure. The next case is ZMA-2024-0006. This is 5 acres bounded by Senate Street, Millwood Avenue, Height Street, and Short Street. Request recommendation to rezone the property from residential single-family small lot district, RSF3, a portion of which is in the Old Shandon, Lower Waverly Historic Protection Overlay District. And also, we have residential mixed RM1, also within the historic overlay. And then there is some community activity center corridor, CAC. And then that's the existing zoning, and rezoned to mixed-use district, MU1, a portion which will stay in the Old Shandon Lower Waverly Historic Preservation Overlay District. So you can see on the map the property that we are looking at, kind of going all the way from Gervais down to Cherry Street with Millwood on the east side. And there's a lot of information in your packet that you're hopefully able to read, largely from the East Central City Plan. And I'll just go ahead and read the staff recommendation. And then if y'all have any questions. Staff finds that the proposed zoning is consistent with the future land use classifications in the Columbia Compass Comprehensive Plan. The purpose of the mixed-use MU1 district is to provide lands that accommodate low-density, walkable, mixed-use development in a gridded street pattern with varied lot sizes. Allowed uses include single-family, two-family, townhouse, multifamily dwellings, as well as neighborhood serving, small-scale, mixed-use retail, office, and personal services. Staff acknowledges that the proximity to major corridors such as Gervais and Millwood may make strictly single-family development of the subject parcels unfeasible, and believes that a mixed-use district would be an appropriate buffer between the more intense CAC and the historic Waverly neighborhood.
Thank you. Any commission members have any questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Like to come speak about the case or the application? Would you mind coming to the podium? Thank you.
I'm Willie Williams with the Village of Nazareth. We are the applicant. And with answering the questions you have regarding it.
I have a couple questions. Thank you. Do you have all the parcels in this or some not included? I was trying to look at this earlier.
Yeah, it's a 5-acre portion, and I thought the plat made it into the PowerPoint, but I guess it didn't. There's a 5-acre plat that was submitted along with the application.
Okay.
And so it's basically 5 acres just north of Senate Street, and then extending down past where you see Dill Street coming down.
Yes.
And then on the western side, on Height Street, it is, I believe, all of those parcels except maybe one. So, and he may be able to clarify that as well.
I was just, all the parcels here, there was a couple that didn't.
There are two parcels on there, 1018 and 1010, we don't own
Okay.
on Height Street. And going down Height Street, that's where the first phase is, but we don't own those two.
Okay.
But we've cut them out. We don't have that in the 5, that's not a part of the 5 acres.
Okay. Any commission members have any questions for the applicant?
I do. Mr. Williams, could you just tell us a little bit about the future use of the property that you all have plans for?
What property?
Can you share with us a little bit about the future use of this property once, if it's
Yes, ma'am.
approved?
What we plan to have is elderly housing. And the first phase will be 24 townhouses. And once we complete that, we'll go back to the neighborhood association and develop the second phase. That's where we are right now.
Thank you.
And we have presented this to the neighborhood association. They're here.
Further question? I think we're good for now. Thank you.
I had a quick question, I'm sorry. So what, is there a particular, do you already have plans for where those 24 units are going in the parcel? Like where in this spot are they going to go? The first phase that you're
First
planning?
phase down High Street.
Down High Street, got it.
We're going, they'll be facing High Street.
Got it.
Down there, that first, it's 2 acres going down there, going back into, and we'll have 3 other acres to develop for the second phase that we'll work with the neighborhood association in developing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we hear from the public, I have one other question for staff. It mentions part of this or a portion is in the historic overlay? And then there's a portion maybe that's not, and I might have missed where that was.
Let's see, is it on the map? Let's see. I mean, primarily it's, I don't know if we have,
The interior portion?
yeah, it's the part that's closer into the neighborhood.
Okay.
So the part that's up on Gervais and along Millwood is not in the historic overlay. I believe it's just where it's south of Senate Street,
I
right?
think it's a hatched area right there. You see that?
Oh, it is the hatched
hatched,
area.
yeah.
Okay, so it does go above Senate Street.
Okay. And then any development of this with the site plan would come back, depending on the scale?
So it would depend on the number of units. So anything beyond 25 would have to come back to Planning Commission for site plan review.
Okay.
So, and there are going to propose to be townhomes along Height Street, and then I believe multifamily, sort of in that Deal Street, into the right of Deal Street area. But just keep in mind, too, that the rezoning isn't necessarily project-specific, so, yeah.
So if they started with 24 and then phase 2 took it over 25, at that point, you'd still have to come back and submit a site plan to begin phase 2.
I believe so. Yes, that's correct.
All right. Any questions of staff? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the project? Sure.
I'm Jim Daniel. The question is really to staff. Are the 24 in the first phase going to be subject to DDRC approval of design?
If it's in the historic overlay, then yes. Yes, it will.
Okay. The property at the corner of Gervais and Millwood would not be in that design overlay,
Correct.
but all the interior lots, I believe, would be.
Right.
So they'll have to go get DDRC's approval for anything to build
Yes, sir.
in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members from the public that would like to speak regarding this case? Seeing none, I would just say I'm encouraged to see something planned for here that be really needed. So it'd be pretty great to see that materialize. But I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve ZMA 2024-0006, 5 acres bounded by Senate Street, Millwood Avenue, Height Street, and Short Street for the rezoning to Community Activity Center corridor.
Spare the TMS numbers. Do we need to read those or? Okay. We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it. Motion passes. I didn't know if I was going to need the thunder today. They didn't give me the gavel, so it's glad it worked out.
We may have been able to dig one out of the cabinet, but they might be at Busby Street.
Do we have any additional business?
The only other thing we wanted to mention was to remind everybody of required continuing education, because we're almost halfway through the year. And so y'all know Lee, who's graciously keeping track of all this stuff while we don't have a land use board coordinator. But there are 2 opportunities coming up. June 21st at 1 p.m. That's a Friday, as we typically have. And then there's one on July 19th at 1 p.m. That information's probably already been sent out in terms of what the topics are. I don't have that right now, but just put those on your calendar if you need more training. So Thank you. Anything else?
You.
All right,
So I guess we won't see everybody till after the 4th.
I guess so.
Hope everybody has a great holiday. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's a wrap.
Remind.